Chapter 12. Attorney Byron Metcalf took off his tie at 5 o'clock, made himself a drink, and put his feet up on his desk. "Sure won't have one?" Another time, Graham, picking the cockleburrs off his cuffs, was grateful for the air conditioning. "I don't know Jacoby's very well," Metcalf said. "They only been here 3 months. My wife and I were there for drinks a couple times. Ed Jacoby came to me for a new will soon after he was transferred here, so I met him." "But you're his executor?" "Yes. His wife was listed first as executor, then me as alternate in case she was deceased or an infirm. He has a brother in Philadelphia, but I gather they weren't close." "You were an assistant district attorney." "Yeah, in 1968 to 72. Ran for DA in 72. It was close, but I lost. I'm not sorry now." "How do you see what happened here, Mr. Metcalf?" "First thing I thought was Joseph Jablonski, the labor leader." Graham nodded. "A crime with a motive, power in that case. Disguised as an insane attack. We went over Ed Jacoby's papers with a fine-tooth comb, Jerry Estridge from the DA's office and I. Nothing. Nobody stood to make much money off Ed Jacoby's death. He made a big salary and he had some parents paying off, but he spent it almost as fast as it came in. Everything was to go to the wife, what a little land in California entailed to the kids and their descendants. He had a small spendthrift trust set up for the surviving son. It'll pay his way through 3 more years of college. I'm sure he'll still be a freshman by then." "Niles Jacoby?" "Yeah, the kid gave Ed a big pain in the ass. He lived with his mother in California. Went to Chino for theft. I gather his mother's a flake. Ed went out there to see about him last year, brought him back to Birmingham and put him in school at Bardwell Community College. Tried to keep him at home, but he dumped on the other kids and made it unpleasant for everybody. Mrs. Jacoby put up with it for a while, but finally they moved into a dorm." "Where was he?" "On the night of June 28th. Metcalf's eyes were hooded as though he looked at Graham. "The police wondered about that, and so did I. He went to a movie and then back to school. It's verified. Besides, he has type O blood, Mr. Graham. I have to pick up my wife in half an hour. We can talk tomorrow if you like. Tell me how I can help you." "I'd like to see the Jacoby's personal effects, diaries, pictures, whatever." "There's not much of that. They lost about everything in a fire in Detroit before they moved down here. Nothing suspicious. Ed was welding in the basement. His sparks got into some paint he had stored down there and house went up. There's some personal correspondence. I have it in lockboxes with the small valuables. I don't remember any diaries. Everything else is in storage. Niles may have some pictures, but I doubt it. Tell you what, I'm going to court at 9:30 in the morning, but I could get back to you in the bank to look at the stuff and come back by for you afterward." "Fine," Graham said. "One other thing. I could use copies of everything to do with the probate, claims against the estate, any contest of the will, correspondence. I'd like to have all the paper." "The Atlanta DA's office asked me for that already. They're comparing with the Leeds estate in Atlanta." "I know," Metcalf said. "Still, I'd like copies for myself." "Okay, copies to you. I don't really think it's money, though, do you?" "No, I just keep hoping the same name will come up here and in Atlanta." "So do I." Student housing at Bardwell Community College was 4 small dormitory buildings set around a littered quadrangle of beaten earth. A stereo war was in progress when Graham got there. A posed set of speakers on the motel-style balconies blared at each other across the quad. It was Kiss versus 1812 Overture. The water balloon arched high in the air and burst on the ground 10 feet above Graham. He ducked under the clothesline and stepped over a bicycle to get through the sitting room of the suite Niles Jacoby shared. The door to Jacoby's bedroom was ajar and music blasted through the crack. Graham knocked. No response. He pushed open the door. A tall boy with a spotty face sat in one of the twin beds sucking a 4-foot bong pipe. A girl in dungarees lay on the other bed. The boy's head jerked around to face Graham. He was struggling to think. "I'm looking for Niles Jacoby." The boy appeared stupefied. Graham switched off the stereo. "I'm looking for Niles Jacoby." "Just some stuff for my asthma, man. Don't you have a knock?" "Where's Niles Jacoby?" "Fuck if I know. What do you want him for?" Graham showed him the tin. "Try real hard to remember." "Oh, shit," the girl said. "Nah, goddammit, I ain't worth it. Look, let's talk about this a minute, man." Let's talk about where Jacoby is. I think I can find out for you, the girl said. Graham waited while she asked the other rooms. Everywhere she went, commodes flushed. There are a few traces of Niles Jacoby in the room. One photograph of the Jacoby family lay on a dresser. Graham lifted a glass of melting ice off it and wiped away the wet ring with his sleeve. The girl returned. Try the Hateful Snake, she said. The Hateful Snake bar was in a storefront and the windows painted dark green. The vehicles parked outside were an odd assortment. Big trucks looking bobtailed without their trailers, compact cars, a lilac convertible, old Dodges and Chevrolets crippled with high rear ends with a drag strip look, 4 full-dress Harley-Davidsons. An air conditioner mounted in the transom over the door dripped steadily onto the sidewalk. Graham ducked around the dribble and went inside. The place was crowded and smelled of disinfectant and stale canoe. The bartender, a husky woman in overalls, reached over heads at the service bar to hand Graham his Coke. She was the only woman there. Niles Jacoby, dark and razor-thin, was at the jukebox. He put the money in the machine, but the man beside him pushed the buttons. Jacoby looked like a dissolute schoolboy, but the one selecting the music did not. Jacoby's companion was a strange mixture. He had a boyish face on a knobby, muscular body. He wore a t-shirt and jeans, worn white over the objects in his pockets. His arms were knotty with muscle, and he had large, ugly hands. One professional tattoo on his left forearm said, "Born to Fuck." A crude jailhouse tattoo on his other arm said, "Randy." His short jail haircut had grown out unevenly. As he reached for a button on the light jukebox, Graham saw a small shaved patch on his forearm. Graham felt a cold place in his stomach. He followed Niles Jacoby and Randy through the crowd to the back of the room. They sat in a booth. Graham stopped 2 feet from the table. "Niles, my name is Will Graham. I need to talk with you for a few minutes." Randy looked up with a bright, false smile. One of his front teeth was dead. "Do I know you?" "No, Niles. I want to talk to you." Niles arched a quizzical eyebrow. Graham wondered what happened to him in Chino. "Having a private conversation here. Butt out," Randy said. Graham looked thoughtfully at the marred, muscular forearms, the dot of adhesive on the crook of his elbow, the shaved patch where Randy had tested the edge of his knife. Knife fighter's mange. "I'm afraid of Randy. Fire or fall back." "D'ye hear me?" Randy said. "Butt out." Graham unbuttoned his jacket, put his identification on the table. "Sit still, Randy. If you try to get up, you're gonna have 2 navels." "Sorry, sir." Instant inmate sincerity. "Randy, I want you to do something for me. I want you to reach into your left back pocket. Just use 2 fingers. You'll have to have a 5-inch knife in there with a flicket clamped to the blade. Put it on the table." "Thank you." Graham dropped the knife into his pocket. It felt greasy. "Now in your other pocket is your wallet. Get it out. You sold some blood today, didn't you?" "So what?" "So hand me the slip they gave you, the one you show next time at the blood bank. Spread it out on the table." Randy had typo blood. Scratch Randy. "How long have you been out of jail?" 3 weeks. "Who's your parole officer?" "I'm not on parole." "That's probably a lie." Graham wanted to roust Randy. He could get him for carrying a knife over the legal length. Being in place with a liquor license was a parole violation. Graham knew he was angry at Randy because he had feared him. "Randy." "Yeah?" "Get out." "I don't know what I can tell you. I didn't know my father very well," Niles Jacoby said as Graham drove him to the school. "I left Mother when I was 3, and I didn't see him after that. Mother wouldn't have it." "He came to see you last spring?" "Yeah." "At Chino?" "You know about that." "I'm just trying to get it straight. What happened?" "Well, he was in visitors, uptight and trying not to look around. So many people treated like the zoo. I heard a lot from him from Mother, but he didn't look so bad. He was just a man standing there in a tacky sport coat." "What'd he say?" "Well, I expected him either to jump right in my shit or be real guilty. That's the way it goes mostly in visitors. But he just asked me if I thought I could go to school. He said he'd go custody if I go to school. And try, if you have to help yourself a little, try and help yourself, and I'll see you get in school," and like that. "How long before you got out?" 2 weeks. "Niles, did you ever talk about your family while you were in Chino? To your cellmates or anybody?" Niles Jacoby looked at Graham quickly. Oh, I see. No, not about my father. I hadn't thought about him in years. Why would I talk about him? How about here? Did you take any of your friends over to your parents' house? Parent, not parents. She's not my mother. Did you ever take anybody over there? School friends or rough trade, Officer Graham? That's right. No, never. Not once. Did he ever mention any kind of threat? Was he ever disturbed about anything in the last month or two before it happened? He was disturbed the last time I talked to him, but it was just my grades. I had a lot of cuts. He brought me 2 alarm clocks. There wasn't anything else that I know of. Do you have any personal papers of his? Correspondence, photographs, anything? No. Do you have a picture of the family? It's on the dresser in your room near the bong. That's not my bong. I won't put that filthy thing in my mouth. I need the picture. I have it copied and sent back to you. What else do you have? Jacoby shook a cigarette out of his pack and patted his pockets for matches. That's all. I can't imagine why they gave that to me. My father smiling as Mrs. Jacoby and all that little munchkins. You can have it. He never looked at me like that. Graham needed to know the Jacobys. Their new acquaintances in Birmingham were little help. Byron Metcalf gave him the run of lockboxes. He read the thin stack of letters, mostly business, and poked through the jewelry and silver. For 3 hot days he worked in a warehouse where the Jacobys' household goods were stored. Metcalf helped him at night. Every crate on every pallet was opened and their contents examined. Police photographs helped Graham see where things had been in the house. Most of the furnishings were new, bought with insurance from Detroit Fire. The Jacobys hardly had time to leave their marks on their possessions. One item, a bedside table with traces of fingerprint powder still on it, held Graham's attention. In the center of the tabletop was a blob of green wax. For the second time, he wondered if the killer liked candlelight. The Birmingham Forensics Unit was good about sharing. The blurred print at the end of a nose was the best Birmingham and Jimmy Price in Washington could do with a soft drink can from the tree. The FBI Laboratory's firearms and tool mark section reported on the severed branch. The blades that clipped it were thick, with a shallow pitch. It had been done with a bolt cutter. Document section had referred the mark cut in the bark to the Asian Studies Department at Langley. Graham sat on the packing case at the warehouse and read the long report. Asian Studies revised that the mark was a Chinese character that meant "you hit it" or "you hit it on the head," an expression sometimes used in gambling. It is considered a positive or lucky sign. The character also appeared on a mahjong piece, the Asian scholar said. It marked the Red Dragon. Chapter 13. Crawford at the FBI headquarters in Washington was on the telephone to Graham at the Birmingham airport when his secretary leaned into the office and flagged his attention. Dr. Chin at Baltimore Hospital in 2706. He says it's urgent. Crawford nodded. Here on, Will. He punched the telephone. Crawford. Frederick Chilton, Mr. Crawford at the... Yes, doctor. I have a note here, or 2 pieces of a note that appears to be from the man who killed those people in Atlanta and... Where'd you get it? From Hannibal Lecter's cell. It's written on toilet tissue of all things and has teeth marks pressed into it. Can you read it to me without handing it anymore? Straining to sound calm, Chilton read it. My dear Dr. Lecter, I wanted to tell you that I'm delighted that you have taken an interest in me, and I learned of your vast correspondence. I thought, dare I? Of course I do. I don't believe you'll tell them who I am, even if you knew. Besides, what particular body I currently occupy is trivia. The important thing is what I am becoming. I know that you alone can understand this. I have some things I'd love to show you, someday perhaps if circumstances permit. I hope we can correspond. Mr. Crawford has a hole torn and punched out, then says, I've admired you for years and have a complete collection of your press notices. Actually, I think of them as unfair reviews, as unfair as mine. They like to sling demeaning nicknames, don't they? The Tooth Fairy. What could be more inappropriate? It would shame me for you to see that if I didn't know you had suffered the same distortions in the press. Investigator Graham interests me. Odd-looking for a flatfoot, isn't he? Not very handsome, but purposeful-looking. You should have taught him not to meddle. Forgive the stationery. I chose it because it will dissolve very quickly if you'd have to swallow it. Has a piece missing here, Mr. Crawford. I'll read the bottom part. If I hear from you next time, I might send you something wet. Until then, I remain your avid fan. Silence after Chilton finished reading. Are you there? Yes, does Lecter know you have the note? Not yet. This morning he has moved to a holding cell while his quarters were cleaned. Instead of using a proper rag, the cleaning man was pulling handfuls of toilet paper off the roll to wipe down the sink. He found the note wound up in the roll and brought it to me. They bring me anything they find hidden. Where's Lecter now? Still in the holding cell. Can he see his quarters at all from there? Let me think. No, he can't. Wait a second, Doctor. Crawford put Chilton on hold. He stared at the two winking buttons on his telephone for several seconds without seeing them. Crawford, fisher of men, was watching his cork move against the current. He got Graham again. Will, a note, maybe from the Tooth Fairy, hidden in Dr. Lecter's cell at the Baltimore. Sounds like a fan letter. He wants Lecter's approval. He's curious about you. He's asking questions. How is Lecter supposed to answer? Don't know yet. Parts torn out, parts scratched out. Looks like there's a chance of correspondence. As long as Lecter's not aware that we know, I want the note from the lab and I want to toss his cell, but it'll be risky. If Lecter gets wise, who knows? He could warn the bastard. We need the link, but we need the note too. Crawford was told Graham where Lecter was held, how the note was found. It's 40 miles over Baltimore. I can't wait for you, buddy. What do you think? 10 people dead in a month. We can't play a long mail game. I say go for it. I am, Crawford said. Seeing you in 2 hours. Crawford hailed the secretary. Sarah, order a helicopter. I want the next thing smoking. I don't care whose it is. Ours, DCPD, or Marines. I'll be on the roof in 5 minutes. Call documents. Tell them to have a document case up here. Tell Herbert to scramble a search team. On the roof. 5 minutes. He picked up Dr. Chilton's line. Dr. Chilton, we have to search Lecter's cell without his knowledge, and we need your help. Have you mentioned this to anybody else? No. Where's the cleaning man who found the note? He's here in my office. Keep him there, please. Tell him to keep quiet. How long has Lecter been out of his cell? About half an hour. Is that unusually long? No, not yet. But it takes only half an hour to clean it. Soon he'll wonder what's wrong. Okay, do this for me. Call your building superintendent or engineer, whoever's in charge. Tell him to shut off water in the building and put the circuit breakers on Lecter's hall. Have the super walk down the hall past the holding cell carrying tools. He'll be in a hurry. Pissed off, too. Too busy answering any questions. Got it? Tell him he'll get an explanation from me. Have the garbage pickup cancel for today if they haven't already come. Don't touch the note, okay? We're coming. Crawford called the section chief. Scientific analysis. Brian, I have a note coming in on the fly, probably from the Tooth Fairy. Number 1 priority. It has to go back where it came from within the hour and unmarked. It'll go to Hair and Fiber, latent prints and documents, then to you. So coordinate with them, will you? Yes, I'll walk it through. I'll deliver it to you myself. It was warm. The federally mandated 80 degrees in the elevator when Crawford came down from the roof with the note, his hair blown silly in the helicopter blast. He was mopping his face by the time he reached the Hair and Fiber section of the laboratory. Hair and Fiber is a small section, calm and busy. The common room is stacked with boxes of evidence sent by the police departments all over the country, swatches of tape that have sealed mouths and bound wrists, torn and stained clothing, deathbed sheets. Crawford spotted Beverly Katz through the window of an examination room as he wove his way between the boxes. She had a pair of child's coveralls suspended from a hanger over the table covered with white paper. Working under bright lights in the draft-free room, she brushed the coveralls with a metal spatula, carefully working with the whale end across it, and with the napkin against it. A sprinkle of dirt and sand fell into the paper. With it, falling through the still air more slowly than sand but faster than lint, came a lightly coiled hair. She cocked her head and looked at it with her bright robin's eye. Crawford could see her lips moving. He knew what she was saying. Gotcha. That's what she always said. Crawford pecked on the glass and she came out fast, stripping off her white gloves. Has it been printed yet? Hasn't been printed yet, right? No. I'm setting up in the next examination room. She put on a fresh pair of gloves while Crawford opened the document case. The note, in 2 pieces, was contained gently between 2 sheets of plastic film. Beverly Katz saw the tooth impressions and glanced up at Crawford, not wasting time with the question. He nodded. The impressions matched the clear overlay of the killer's bite he had carried with him to Chesapeake. Crawford watched through the window as she lifted the note in a slender dowel and hung it over white paper. She looked at it over with the powerful glass, then fanned it gently. She tapped the dowel with the edge of the spatula and went over the paper beneath it with a magnifying glass. Crawford looked at his watch. Katz flipped the note over another dowel to get the reverse side up. She moved one tiny object from its surface with tweezers almost as fine as a hair. She photographed the torn ends of the note under the high magnification and returned it to its case. She put a clean pair of gloves on with the case with it. The white gloves, the signal not to touch, would always be beside the evidence until it was checked for fingerprints. "That's it," she said, handing the case back to Crawford. "One hair, maybe a 32nd of an inch. A couple blue grains. It'll work it up. What else have you got?" Crawford gave her 3 marked envelopes. Hair from Lecter's comb, whiskers from the electric razor they let him use. This is hair from the cleaning man. Gotta go. "See you later," Kat said. "Love your hair." Jimmy Price and latent fingerprints winced at the sight of the porous toilet paper. He squinted fiercely over the shoulder of his technician operating the helium-cadmium laser as they tried to find a fingerprint and make it fluorescence. Glowing smudges appeared on the paper, perspiration stains. Nothing. Crawford started to ask him a question, though better of it, waited with the blue light reflecting off his glasses. "We know 3 guys handled this without gloves, right?" Price said. "Yeah, the cleanup man, Lecter, and Chilton. The fellow scrubbing sinks probably had washed the oil off his fingers, but the others, stuff's terrible." Price held the paper to the light, 4 steps steady in his mottled old hand. "I could fume a jack, but I couldn't guarantee the iodine stains would fade out in the time you got." Ninhydrin, boosted with heat. Ordinarily, Crawford would not have ventured a technical suggestion to Price, but he was floundering for anything. He expected a huffy reply, but the old man sounded rueful and sad. "No, we couldn't wash it after. I can't get you a print off this jacket. There isn't one." "Fuck," Crawford said. The old man turned away. Crawford put his hand on Bryce's pony's shoulder. "Old Jimmy, if there was one, you'd have found it." Bryce didn't answer. He was unpacking a pair of hands that had arrived in another matter. Dry ice smoked in his wastebasket. Crawford dropped the white gloves into the smoke. Disappointment growling in his stomach, Crawford hurried on to documents where Lloyd Bowman was waiting. Bowman had been called out of court, and the abrupt shear in his concentration left him blinking like a man just wakened. "I congratulate you on your hairstyle. A brave departure," Bowman said, his hands quick and careful as he transferred the note to his work surface. "How long do I have?" 21 minutes max. 2 pieces of the note seemed to glow under Bowman's lights. His blotter showed dark green through the jagged oblong hole in the upper piece. The first thing is how Lecter was to reply," Crawford said when Bowman had finished reading. "Instructions for answering are probably in the part torn out." Bowman worked steadily with the lights and filters and copy camera as he talked. "Here on the top piece says, 'Hope we can correspond,' and then the whole begins. Lecter scratched over that with a felt-tip pen and folded and pinched most of it out. He doesn't have anything to cut with." Bowman photographed the tooth impressions and back of the note under extremely oblique light, a shadow leaping from the wall to wall as he moved the light through 360 degrees around the paper, with his hands made phantom folding motions in the air. "Now we can mash just a little." Bowman put the note between 2 panes of glass to flatten the jagged edge of the hole. The tatters were smeared with the vermilion ink. He was chanting something under his breath. On the 3rd repetition, Crawford made out what he was saying. "You're so sly, but so am I." Bowman switched filters on a small television camera and focused it on the note. He darkened the room until there was only a dull red glow of the lamp and the blue-green of his monitor screen. The words, "I hope we can correspond," and the jagged hole appeared enlarged on the screen. The ink smear was gone, and on the tattered edges appeared fragments of writing. "Aniline dyes and colored inks are transparent to infrared," Bowman said. "These could be tips of T's here and here. On the end is a tail that could be an M or an N, or possibly an R." Bowman took a photograph and turned the lights on. "Jack, there are just 2 common ways of carrying out on communication. That's one-way blind. Phone and publication. Did Lecter take a fast phone call?" "He could take calls, but it's slow and they have to come in through the hospital switchboard." "Publication is the only safe way, then." "When We know his sweetheart reads the Tatler. The stuff about Graham and Lecter was in the Tatler. I don't know of any other paper that carried it. 3 T's and an R in Tatler. Personal column, you think? It's a place to look. Crawford checked with the FBI library, then telephoned instructions to the Chicago field office. Bowman handed him the case as he finished. Tatler comes out this evening, Crawford said. It's printed in Chicago on Mondays and Thursdays. We'll get proofs on the classified pages. I have some more stuff. Minor, I think, Bowman said. Anything useful? Fire it straight to Chicago. Fill me in when I get back from the asylum, Crawford said on his way out the door. Thank you. That was part 5 of Red Dragon. Thank you for listening, and good night.